Chapter 1. You are listening at famvetv.info. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. When your code runs in a very strange way, you should just leave it be. Han Gue often gave himself this advice that as a programmer, he was either writing bugs or maintaining bugs every day. His professional abilities may not be outstanding in his industry, but he was irreplaceable in the small company he worked for, mainly because his boss could not find any other person that would work as cheaply as him. The boss's purpose was simple. Han Gue, just make sure you and the code can function. Han Gue had long lost the ability to perceive happiness after being exploited by capitalization. What is the purpose of living? Is it like this string of code? Moving endlessly, until it crashes. Han Gue stared at the time in the bottom right corner of the computer. It read 17.59. After a minute more, he could get off work. Finally, the time came. 18.00. Just as he was about to turn off the computer, a pop-up suddenly appeared on his screen. Han Gue was very confused. His computer should not have any viruses. Although his coding skill wasn't the best, he was quite confident in his ability to prevent viruses. The strange thing was that this pop-up did not have any exaggerated promotions or soft.text marketing. It was just a simple string of words that appeared in the dialog box. It was as if it was the computer system itself that made the pop-up. Do you think life is very boring? Do you want to make a bet with me? If you win, you can evolve into an extraordinary creature. If you lose, you will die. Do you dare? Under the text in the dialog box, there were buttons for dare and dare not. Regardless of which he chose, the computer would crash anyway. Han Gue wanted to laugh at this stupid text. You want to trick me with this kind of trick? Without hesitation, Han Gue clicked on the X in the upper right corner. However, when the mouse moved to the icon, Han Gue's heart suddenly palpitated for no reason. An unexplainable desire made Han Gue re-examine the sentence in the dialog box. Do you think life is very boring? Do you want to make a bet with me? If you win, you can evolve into an extraordinary creature. If you lose, you will die. Do you dare? If you lose, you will die. Do you dare? Do you dare? F***ck, I'll bite. I want to see how you will kill me. Han Gue knew that once his computer was invaded by a virus, all his codes would be destroyed, but he did not care at all. He had long been tired of such a life. If he could take the chance to earn more than his boss, why not? Developing new code, maintaining new programs, and configuring a new computer are all things that required money. He clicked the mouse cautiously and the dare button dimmed. Then, Han Gue lost consciousness. An unknown amount of time had passed. His mouth felt dry and hot. The first senses Han Gue regained was his sense of touch and taste. Then his hearing and vision. By the time he came to, Han Gue was lying on a rock cliff by the sea. His skin felt like it had been roasting under the sun. He must have been there for a long time. Where am I? Why am I here? Han Gue looked at the sky, then the sea in front of him blankly. This was a small deserted island that had been abandoned for a long time. There were other voices around him. Who are you? Are you kidnappers? Why did you bring me here? I just got on the plane and took a nap. How did I land so quickly? Oh my God. Did the plane crash? I'm not dead. Guns. There are guns here. There are real guns on the table. There were nearly 100 people who gradually woke up on this deserted island. No one understood how they had suddenly come here. All they remembered was encountering some strange events or items before they blacked out. One person said that he found and opened a small card in the crispy noodle packaging he had just bought. There was a card with the bet, and the next thing he knew, he had woken up on the island. Others were already scared out of their wits as they were playing in an escape room before they found themselves here. Han Gue wandered among the crowd and their conversations as he gathered information. But he hadn't heard anyone that encountered the same situation as him, tricked into coming here by a small pop-up on the computer. One thing was for certain. They had all been collectively transmigrated, or they had been sent here by a mysterious high-level god. Everyone appeared in a different way, so the method to return to the real world should be the same. But why were so many people gathered? Han Gui carefully thought in his mind. His gaze stopped on a young man with long brown hair. He held a cigarette in his mouth and there was no confusion or panic on his face, unlike the others. His eyes also looked at Han Gui. After lighting the cigarette, he puffed and said, "Is this your first time here as well?" The brown-haired young man was talking to him, so Han Gui replied, "Yeah, isn't it the same for you?" The brown-haired young man didn't answer, but asked, "Have you ever played PUBG?" PUBG. That battle royale game. Han Gui's pupils constricted, and he immediately understood about half of what's happening. No wonder everything here looked so familiar. It was the island from PUBG, the plane wreck, the reefs by the sea, the guns and ammunition. Bang, ah. An ear-piercing gunshot broke the conversation between the two and everyone looked in the direction of the sound. The man who fired the gun was also stunned, then he turned ecstatic. "Wow, this is a real gun. How awesome. Big brother, if you want to test the gun, then test the gun. Why are you shooting at me?" The man who was lying on the ground clutched his calf and bared his teeth as he shouted. However, his situation did not gain any sympathy from the people around him. Instead, they rushed to the wooden table in high spirits. The M416, Car 98K, M24, and even the divine weapon in the air. Drop box, AWM. Just as the scene turned chaotic, a crisp sound rang out in the sky above the ruins. Ding. All players have been detected to be awake. Infinite game has officially started. Ding. This world was selected from PUBG's Island of Ruins. This is your starting point. The mission of this game is to live until the end of the game. There will be no punishment for failure. Ding. Now, for the rules of the game. Rule number 1. There is a dangerous power grid that is constantly moving on this island. If you do not want to be electrocuted to death, you must ensure your survival in the safe zone until there are only 10 people left. Then, the game will officially end and the remaining 90 people will be eliminated. Rule number 2. In this world, you can form a party. The party limit is up to 4 people, but you must be careful, killing your teammates will also earn you points. Hint. In this world, you must not only guard against your enemies but also your own teammates. Whether they are enemies or teammates, you will receive 100 points if you successfully defeat them. The various city districts on the Island of Ruins have all kinds of defensive equipment and guns. They are your capital to survive. Only by successfully surviving until the end can you become true infinite players. Ding. Infinite game has officially begun. All players will board the plane in 5 minutes. This is a spawning location for new players. No fighting is allowed in this area. Anyone who violates the rules of the game will be killed. The notifications came to an end and everyone was stunned as they stood in place. Han Gui was the same. There was no punishment in this world. After all, if one could not survive, they would just die. So what punishment did the dead need? Listen to the full novel at famvetv.info, direct link in the description.